I'd been on the road 14 days straight when she texted me about the dinner. Said it was to celebrate her passing the bar, and that she wanted it to be special. I parked my rig in a lot outside Des Moines, caught a red-eye back to Chicago, rented a car, showered at a truck stop, and barely made it on time. She looked sharp, hair done up, sleek black dress, those pearl earrings I bought her for graduation. I looked like a guy who hadn't seen a real bed in 2 weeks. I still showed up. The restaurant was one of those rooftop places where they serve cocktails with herbs you can't pronounce. Her new coworkers were already there, all suits and shiny watches. She introduced me like I was her driver, not her husband. Didn't even offer me a seat at the good side of the table. I tried to play it cool, smiled, laughed at their dumb inside jokes, ordered a steak I couldn't pronounce and watched her glow in the spotlight. I was proud, I really was. I'd spent 6 years on the road while she got through undergrad, then law school, then internships. No vacations, no breaks, just gas station coffee and frozen dinners in the cab. I paid her rent, her bar prep, even those damn suits she was bragging about tonight. Every dime I made went to that future we were building, or at least I thought we were. Then dessert came. She reached into her bag and handed me a cream-colored envelope. I thought it was a card. Maybe tickets to somewhere warm. I smiled. Stupid, right? Inside were divorce papers. Signed. Dated. She didn't even blink. Just said, loud enough for the table to hear, "Now that I'm established, I don't need to be dragged down by someone with no ambition." One guy laughed. Another one choked on his drink. I didn't say a word. Not one. I pulled a pen from my jacket, signed every page. Didn't flinch. Didn't ask why. Then I stood up, walked over to the host stand, handed them my card, and paid the entire bill. Hers included. She stared at me like she expected me to break. Maybe even beg. I didn't. I signed the check, grabbed my jacket, and walked out. Straight back to the rental. Back to the truck stop. Back to what was real. She was still laughing with her new crowd when I unlocked the apartment. Her heels were gone, so I figured she'd already made herself comfortable. Maybe kicked back with a glass of overpriced wine while they toasted to ambition and clean slates. I didn't care. I had one job left to do. I grabbed a laundry basket and went room to room. Just what was mine. Nothing more. Laptop, guitar, my old boots, camping gear still caked with Oregon mud. That espresso machine I'd bought after a brutal ice storm route through Montana. I'd earned that one. Tossed in the grinder, too. I didn't even open her drawers. Didn't touch her side of the closet. Didn't leave a note. I slept in the truck that night. It was cold, but I'd slept in worse. At sunrise, I hit the bank. Closed the joint account. Left her exactly $2,800. That was her total contribution in 6 years, and I was being generous. The teller gave me a weird look, like I was the one breaking up a marriage. I didn't explain. Just took my balance and walked out. Next stop was the leasing office. Asked to remove my name from the lease. They said she'd need to requalify on her own. Not my problem anymore. I left her everything else, the furniture, the TV, the bookshelves I built from scratch. The car, which I paid off 3 months ago. Even the damn air fryer she kept bragging about to her sister. It wasn't kindness. It was clarity. She wanted freedom. I gave it to her. I was just tightening the last ratchet strap on my gear when I heard her heels click up the hall. She froze in the doorway, face pale. "You're leaving?" "No," I said. "I already left." She stepped inside, arms crossed, tone suddenly soft. "That dinner wasn't what I meant. Came out wrong." I laughed, short and sharp. "You signed those papers a week before you passed the bar. That didn't come out wrong. That was a plan." Her eyes dropped. Look, it was a big night. I was overwhelmed." I cut her off. "You were clear, Crystal. You said you didn't want to be dragged down. This is what not being dragged down looks like." She shifted, voice rising. "You're being cruel." "No," I said, slamming the tailgate. "I'm being fair. You wanted out. Now you're out." I climbed into the cab. She didn't move. Just stood there in the hallway, still in last night's makeup, jaw tight, like she couldn't figure out what just happened. You said you didn't need someone like me, I said through the open window. Congratulations. You're free. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I put the truck in gear and pulled away. Didn't look back. Didn't care to. All I owned was in the back. All I needed was the road in front of me. I didn't stop driving until I hit the Missouri state line. Didn't call anyone. Didn't turn on the radio. Just me, the road, and the hum of everything I'd left behind. My only plan was Kansas City. I'd been talking with a logistics firm there, interviewed twice by phone from rest stops in Ohio and gas stations in Nevada. They said if I ever made it in person, they'd talk. So I showed up, didn't bother shaving, just walked into the office wearing jeans, steel toes, and a shirt that still smelled like diesel. Asked for the hiring manager. He looked me up and down, asked if I had a resume. I handed him a binder with 6 years of route logs, fuel records, maintenance schedules, and 4 accident-free certificates. 10 minutes later, he walked me back to HR. They hired me on the spot route planner, Monday to Friday, full benefits. I used the company's relocation service to get a corporate apartment off Troost. Plain carpet, loud pipes, bad water pressure, I didn't care. First time in years I didn't sleep with one eye open. I bought a cheap smartphone and a new number. Deleted every account that tied me to her, email, social, even my old trucker forum logins. Gone. Like I never existed. I didn't decorate the apartment. Didn't hang photos or buy throw pillows. Just a mattress, a desk, and that espresso machine I brought from Chicago. That was enough. I showed up early every day. Stayed late. Worked through lunch. They noticed. I didn't make noise, didn't kiss ass, I just got it done. Found shortcuts no one saw. Flagged errors before they cost us freight. 3 months in, they bumped me to lead planner. By 6 months, I was regional dispatcher. I had a team. I had a title. One Friday, my manager pulled me aside. Said, "You see patterns. That's rare. Keep going." So I did. Bought a 2-bedroom house outside Lee's Summit. Nothing fancy, white siding, leaky garage door, ancient furnace. But it had a backyard and no one else's name on the mailbox. I spent weekends fixing it up. Replaced drywall, installed shelves, painted every damn wall by hand. Burned through podcasts and black coffee until I forgot what her voice sounded like. I didn't date, didn't drink much, didn't waste time scrolling. Just worked, slept, and put something new together quietly, brick by brick. People at the office asked where I came from. Out west, I'd say. Long haul. They didn't press. And honestly, I stopped thinking about her. Not in a bitter way. Just nothing. No memories. No flashes. No late-night what-ifs. She was a ghost. Background noise. Every time I turned a wrench or punched a spreadsheet, I felt further away from who I'd been with her, and closer to the guy I was supposed to be. One morning, I was reviewing driver logs at the office, red pen in hand, when a woman tapped my desk and said, "Your dispatch windows are too tight for this lane. DOT will eat you alive." She didn't smile, just pointed and waited. That was Amanda. She worked in compliance, kept the company out of legal messes, made sure drivers weren't being pushed into illegal hours. Masters from Purdue. Didn't lead with it. She was sharp, fast-talking, and didn't care about titles. She cared about getting it right. Next day, she handed me a corrected copy of my own route plan. "You had 4 violations in here," she said. "You're lucky I like your face." I laughed, but she didn't. She just walked off. I took her to lunch that Friday. We didn't talk about work. We talked about how she restores old furniture. About her dog, Rocket, a senior mutt with a crooked tail. I told her about my guitar, my camping gear, and my time on the road. She didn't flinch at any of it. Within a few weeks, we were spending weekends together. Hiking at Swope Park, making dinner at her place, watching dumb movies and falling asleep before the credits. It was easy, quiet. Even when it wasn't perfect, it wasn't loud. She never asked me to be more. Never acted like I had to keep up with her degrees or salary or 5-year plan. She respected the work I did. Said I had street-smart spreadsheets couldn't touch. I didn't feel behind anymore. I felt even. For the first time in my life, I was planning something real. Not her future, not mine, ours. We talked about where we'd live, how we'd split holidays, what we wanted the next 10 years to look like. I was finally building something with someone who showed up for it. Then my brother called. Said my ex showed up at mom's. Asking questions. Looking for me. Said she just wanted to check in. I nearly crushed the phone in my hand. I told him straight, don't tell her a thing. Don't give her my number, address, nothing. If she gets one scrap of info, and it came from family, I'm done with that family. He was quiet for a second. Then said, got it. A week later, my cousin texted me a screenshot, her again. Trying to connect on social. Different name, same photo. I blocked it. I made the rounds. Called my dad. My sister. My buddy Vince back in Indiana. I told every one of them the same thing. She doesn't get to come back. Not through you. Not through anybody. If she asks, you say nothing. If you say anything, I cut you out. They didn't argue. I went back to Amanda's that night. Made her shrimp tacos and played her some old blues on my guitar. She leaned against the counter, smiling. Said, you've got that calm before a storm look again. I shrugged. Storm already passed. And I meant it. 2 days after that shrimp taco night, I got an email at my work address. Subject line, hey, no name, no signature. Just that single word and a blank body. I knew. Then came the calls to the main office. My assistant said some woman with a raspy voice kept asking for my schedule. Claimed she was a family friend. I checked with HR. She'd called them too. Said she was updating an old employment verification. I shut it all down. Changed my number again. Deleted every non-essential contact. Killed my LinkedIn. Replaced my dentist even though the new one sucked. A week later, my cousin Noah sent me a screenshot. Her face, different name. Some fake profile tried friending him. Said she was someone he met at a friend's wedding. He blocked it. I told him good move. And that if he even thought about accepting something like that again, I'd consider it betrayal. Then I got the podcast. It came from one of her old friends. Kayla, I think, who didn't know we weren't in touch. She forwarded it to my work email like it was some proud moment. Look who's doing big things. I almost deleted it. But I hit play. There she was. Her voice hadn't changed, still smooth, still too polished. She was being interviewed about legal aid and women in the workforce. Said she was transitioning into purpose-driven law. Working part-time at a paralegal clinic. She talked about her struggles getting through school, the sacrifices she made to land her first firm job. Not one word about me. No mention of the man who paid for her tuition, bought her suits, drove cross-country while she studied in quiet apartments he paid for. No mention of the steakhouse where she slid divorce papers across the table like she was handing out a receipt. I didn't even finish the episode. I shut it off and went back to work. By then, I was managing 3 distribution hubs, KC, Omaha, and Tulsa. We were moving $500,000 in freight a week. I trained new hires from other regions. Handled high-pressure reroutes in ice storms without blinking. My salary was triple what I made behind the wheel. Sometimes I'd stay late just to watch the floor empty out. Walk between the pallets and bays, thinking how none of this existed back then. None of it was built for her. It was built after. I wasn't the guy she left anymore. I was the guy who'd figured out how to turn spite into systems, heartbreak into overtime, and silence into freedom. Every email she sent, every trick, every reach back into my life, I deleted it all. Not because I was scared of her, because she didn't belong in this version of my life. She had made her choice. I was busy living with mine. I was mid-call with Tulsa's dock manager when my assistant buzzed in. She never interrupts. So I picked up. Some ladies here, she said. Slow like she was trying to figure it out. Says she's your wife? I didn't answer. Just stood up, walked over to the window. And there she was. Same long black coat, same stiff posture. But thinner, older. Makeup trying to do what time no longer could. And that expression, that smug, half-curious, half-entitled look, hadn't aged a day. She walked in like she had a meeting on the books. No hesitation. No apology. Wow! she said, glancing around my office. You've really built something here. I didn't offer her a seat. She smiled anyway. I just wanted to say congratulations. Looks like you're doing well. You've got 5 minutes, I said. That cracked the smile. She sat down slow, crossed her legs like it was her office now. I made a mistake, she said. I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. I stayed standing. She shifted in her seat, eyes darting around like maybe the walls would help her out. I just wanted closure. That night, I didn't handle things right, but I was under pressure. No, you weren't. I cut in. You weren't under pressure. You had a plan. You got those papers notarized a full week before your bar results came in. She blinked. You signed them before you even knew you passed. I said. You didn't want closure. You wanted escape. She didn't deny it. Just stared at the floor like that version of herself belonged to someone else. I was scared, she mumbled, that if I waited too long, I'd get stuck. You were safe. But I needed more. I laughed once, hard. I wasn't safe. I was loyal. There's a difference. She looked up. I know that now. I leaned forward. Too late. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Just the sound of her breathing and the soft tick of the wall clock behind me. I walked around the desk, rested my hands on the edge. You didn't leave me in some emotional haze, I said. You made appointments. You filed documents. You prepared. You chose. She sat up straighter like she thought she could still steer this. I wasn't trying to hurt you. You did it anyway. I thought you'd hold me back. And now what? I snapped. You think I'm your safety net again? I'm done being your fallback. That finally landed. She looked away, eyes glassy, jaw tight. I didn't come to ask for anything, she said. Just wanted to explain. You already did, I said. Years ago. Over dessert. She stood slowly, adjusted her coat like it mattered. I guess I deserve that. No, I said. You deserve the silence I gave you. But you showed up here, so now you get the truth. Her face didn't move. You threw away something real, I told her. Not in the heat of a fight. Not out of fear. But out of calculation. I was just your launch pad. She bit her lip. I lost everything after that. No, I said, walking back to my desk. You lost me. And I was the only thing worth keeping. She didn't say goodbye. Just left the way she came in, heels clicking, back straight, pretending it didn't sting. I let the door close behind her. Didn't watch her leave. Didn't need to. I was about to sit back down when the door creaked open again. She stepped halfway inside, eyes glassy, voice lower this time. I didn't mean to humiliate you. I didn't answer. Just opened the top drawer of my desk and pulled out my phone. Tapped the screen. Hit play. Her voice crackled out loud, clear and sharp. He's just a placeholder. Once I pass the bar, I'll be done dragging him around. Background laughter. Silverware. Her voice again. He means well. But let's be honest, he peaked at diesel fuel and truck stops. She froze. I let it roll 5 more seconds. Then hit pause. She stared at the floor like it might suck her under. Where did you get that? My cousin recorded it. Thought I might want to know what I missed after I paid the damn bill. She covered her face with one hand, like hiding from it might change what she said. I was trying to impress my new boss, she said, voice cracking. I didn't mean those words. I was nervous. I panicked. You didn't panic, I snapped. You rehearsed. You delivered. You made a scene. She dropped her hand, eyes red. I didn't know you'd hear it. That's the part that bothers you? She didn't answer. I stood up, walked to the window and looked out across the loading docks. Forklifts beeping, trucks backing in, crews working like clockwork. My crews, my systems, my build. Then I turned back to her. You want to know the punchline? She blinked. I was planning to surprise you. Her mouth opened slightly. That night after dinner, I was going to tell you I had a job lined up here in KC. Better pay. No more weeks on the road. More time for us. She looked stunned. I walked to the coat rack. reached into the top shelf and pulled out a small black box. "I bought a ring," I said. "It was in my glove box that night." She flinched like I slapped her. "I had this whole thing worked out. A week off the road. A real proposal. A life." Her lip trembled. "I didn't know." "No, you didn't want to know," I said. "You were too busy lining up your future to see who was still standing in yours." She broke right there. Tears came fast. Full body sobbing. Hand over her mouth. Breath catching hard. I let her cry. Didn't offer a tissue. Didn't say sorry. I let her feel it all. She finally looked up at me. Mascara bleeding down her face, voice shaking. I threw it all away. "No," I said. "You passed the test." "What?" "You didn't just dump me. You trained me. Trained me to never settle again. To see a gut feeling for what it is. To trust action over talk." She stepped forward. "Please." I held up a hand. "I'm not mad anymore," I said. "I'm not bitter. But I'm also not yours. Not now. Not ever again." Her arms dropped to her sides like her body gave up holding on. I put the ring box back on the shelf. Without another word, she walked out of my office. For the second time in my life, I watched her leave. This time, I didn't feel hollow. This time, I felt free. She came back 3 hours later. I was eating leftover chili at my desk, half watching the shipping schedule refresh, when the knock hit. Not a buzz, not a call. Just a quiet knock on the glass. I didn't even look up. The door creaked open. "I think I left my wallet," she said, voice thin. It was in her hand. I leaned back in my chair. "Try again." She stepped in and shut the door behind her. No confidence this time. No coat of armor. Just the same sad expression people wear when the story didn't go how they planned. "I didn't know what else to do," she said. "I wasn't ready earlier. I was overwhelmed." I stayed quiet. She trailed off, eyes darting. "I've changed. I'm not the same person I was back then." "Good," I said. "But I haven't." She blinked. "What?" "I'm still the guy who'll work his ass off for someone who values him. Who shows up. Who doesn't quit at the first taste of hard." She stepped forward. "That's what I'm saying. I see that now. I didn't before. But I want to." "You don't get to want now." Her lips parted like she had a speech prepared. I didn't let her give it. "You had everything. Every hour. Every mile. Every cent. I gave it to you without hesitation. You tossed it for a rooftop applause." Her eyes welled up. "I didn't know what I was doing." "You knew enough to notarize papers before your results came in." She looked down. "You don't get to rewrite that. You don't get to come back because it's quieter now." She moved closer. "Please. I have no one. No family out here. My friends are scattered. I've lost everything." I looked her dead in the eye. "So did I. After you walked away. That was the point, right?" Her shoulders dropped. That was it. No more fight in her. She stared at the floor for a second, then turned toward the door. No more begging. No more explaining. Just gone. This time I didn't follow. Didn't wonder. Didn't care. She'd used up all her exits. This was mine. I drove straight to Amanda's after I locked up the office. She was on the couch in sweatpants, one leg under the other, watching some crime doc with a glass of wine in her hand. She looked up, saw my face, and muted the TV. I sat down next to her. Didn't touch her. Just said, "She came back again." Amanda didn't ask why or how. She just leaned back and said, "She thought she could just come back?" "She thought I'd still be the same guy," I said. "The one who paid the bill and didn't say a word." Amanda studied me. Didn't say anything for a few beats. Then she shook her head slow. She really underestimated how hard men like you rise when they're left alone. I cracked a smile. First one all day. We didn't talk much after that. Just finished the episode, shared a bag of chips, and went to bed with the lights off and no need to fill the air. But I didn't sleep much. Not because I was angry. That part was long dead. I just needed to shut the door for good. On my terms. Next morning, I skipped coffee and drove to the hotel where my ex had said she was staying. Some mid-range chain over by the interstate. Easy to miss. Probably booked it with points. I walked in straight to the front desk. The guy behind the counter was half my age and didn't ask questions when I said her name. I handed him a sealed envelope. "Can you give this to her?" I asked. He nodded. "Sure thing." I didn't wait around. Didn't watch to see if she picked it up. Inside the envelope was a single sheet of paper. No return address. No signature. Just a few lines in my handwriting. "You were right, we were mismatched. You wanted someone to carry you. I wanted someone to walk beside me. You didn't fail me. You freed me. That was it." I didn't need her to respond. Didn't want a final conversation. I just needed to say the part she'd never let me say when it mattered. I left the hotel, drove to Amanda's favorite bakery, picked up 2 cinnamon rolls and went home. We ate them on the back porch with coffee and a lazy sunrise. Rocket flopped by our feet, snoring through his nose like always. Amanda didn't ask if I heard back. I didn't mention the letter. It didn't matter anymore. She never called. Never showed up again. No more fake profiles. No emails. No taps on the glass. I'd said my last word without ever opening my mouth. And she heard it loud and clear. 6 months later, Amanda and I signed the papers on a 2-story out in Lenexa. White siding. Big kitchen with a gas range. Tool shed out back. Enough space for both of us, but not so much it needed bragging rights. Just enough to breathe. We split the bills, split the chores, split the wins. She handled the boring paperwork I hated. I fixed the leaky sink and taught her how to change brake pads. We grocery shopped together like a team. She made the list, I filled the cart. No power games. No scorekeeping. Felt solid. Like nothing in my past ever did. On our 1-year anniversary, she handed me a gift bag over breakfast. Inside was a white mug. Black letters across the front. Best load carrier, 2025. I laughed. Full belly, real loud. "At least you know how to pack light." She grinned. "You carry the hard stuff. I just bring the snacks." We toasted with coffee and split a cinnamon roll. Rocket wagged his crooked tail under the table, waiting for crumbs. That night, we sat on the back porch, same place we always ended up. Sky soft, stars just starting to show. Her feet were in my lap. My hand was on her shin. Quiet. Easy. Sometimes my mind wandered to those years I lost. The nights on the road. The dinners alone. The silence. The betrayal. But mostly I thought about how I got here. And who I became on the way. I used to think I was the weight. The reason things sank. Turns out I was the backbone. The one holding it all together. I don't carry what doesn't want to be held anymore. Now, I only lift what's worth carrying.